Did you know that bees can communicate the direction and distance of a nectar source located more than 6 miles away, just by dancing? These tiny creatures have developed a complex language based on precise movements, a true choreography that has fascinated scientists for decades. But how can a dance convey so much information? And why have bees adopted this particular mode of communication? Stay with me to discover the fascinating secrets of the bee dance. When a foraging bee discovers a new food source, like a field of flowers rich in nectar or pollen, it doesn't keep this information to itself. On the contrary, it returns to the hive to inform its sisters. But how does it tell them where this precious resource is located? This is where the Waggle dance, also known as the figure-8 dance, comes in. This dance is an incredibly accurate way to communicate the distance and direction of the food source. The bee performs a series of figure-8 movements, with a straight line in the center where it waggles rapidly, vibrating its abdomen. The length of this straight line, the number of waggles, and the angle of the dance relative to the vertical provide the other bees with all the information they need to locate the food source. For example, the longer the waggle line, the farther away the source. Each second of waggling can correspond to a certain distance, usually about 0.6 miles. The angle of the dance relative to the vertical indicates the direction based on the position of the sun. It's an extremely sophisticated communication system for such small insects. The precision of the bee dance is truly amazing. To indicate the direction of the food source, bees use the position of the sun as a reference. Inside the hive, which is usually dark, the dancing bee moves on the wax combs, orienting its dance at a certain angle, relative to the vertical. This angle corresponds to the angle between the direction of the sun and that of the food source. For example, if the bee dances at an angle of 80 degrees to the left of the vertical, it means that the food is 80 degrees to the left of the sun. The bees observing the dance thus understand exactly in which direction to fly to find the resource. But that's not all. Bees are able to compensate for the movement of the sun throughout the day. Their internal clock allows them to adjust the angle of the dance according to the elapsed time, thus ensuring constant accuracy even if the sun moves across the sky. When the food source is close to the hive, usually less than 100 meters away, bees use a different dance called the round dance. This dance is simpler than the waggle dance. The bee performs successive circles, alternating clockwise and counterclockwise, without waggling in the center. This dance tells other bees that food is nearby, but does not give a precise direction. The foragers then know that they have to go out and explore the immediate surroundings of the hive to find the food source. This is an effective way to signal a nearby opportunity without requiring complex communication. Bees do not have a vocal language like humans, but they have developed this incredibly effective visual mode of communication. Dancing allows bees to transmit complex information silently and accurately, which is crucial in a hive where thousands of individuals live together in a confined space. Additionally, the hive is a dark environment. Bees perceive movements and vibrations through specialized sensory organs located on their antennae and legs. The dance generates vibrations on the wax combs that other bees can detect, even in the absence of light. This system is therefore perfectly adapted to their way of life. Dancing is also a method of communication that does not require food or pheromones, which would be less effective for transmitting precise spatial information. It is a remarkable example of bees' adaptation to their environment and their collective intelligence. Understanding the bee dance is the result of decades of research. The Austrian scientist Carl von Frisch was the first to decode this complex language in the 1940s. Through ingenious experiments, he demonstrated how bees communicate the distance and direction of food sources through their dances. His groundbreaking work earned him the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in 1973, jointly with Konrad Lorenz and Nikolaus Tinbergen for their discoveries in the field of animal behavior. Carl von Frisch paved the way for a better understanding of cognition and communication in social insects. Bees have an exceptional sense of orientation. They are able to navigate over long distances using multiple cues. The position of the sun is their main guide. Even in cloudy weather, they can detect the polarized light from the sun to orient themselves. It is also suggested that bees can perceive the Earth's magnetic field to aid in their navigation. In addition, they memorize landscapes, shapes, and colors to find their way, thus using visual cues from their environment. Their internal biological clock allows them to know what time of day they visited a particular flower. This is important because some flowers only produce nectar at specific times. This precise synchronization optimizes their efficiency as foragers. Bees are truly amazing creatures. For example, a bee can visit up to 5,000 flowers in a single day. To produce 500 grams of honey, the bees in a hive must visit about 2 million flowers. Bees also use pheromones to communicate information, such as danger warnings or queen identification. The complexity of their dance is such that researchers continue to study this phenomenon to understand how such precise information can be encoded in such subtle movements. This dance is a striking example of the sophistication of communication systems in the animal kingdom. In summary, bees dance to communicate information essential to the colony's survival. Their waggle dance and round dance allow them to indicate with incredible precision the distance and direction of food sources. This visual language is perfectly adapted to their environment and demonstrates the ingenuity of nature. The bee dance is much more than just a simple behavior. It is a fascinating example of complex communication in an insect that continues to inspire scientists in fields as diverse as robotics, biology, and even linguistics. The next time you see bees foraging, remember that once they return to the hive, they will share this valuable information with their sisters, thanks to an extraordinary dance. What did you think of this exploration of the bee dance? Did you learn anything new? Perhaps you will look at these little insects differently now. Share your thoughts and questions in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to discover other wonders of the world around us.